and I'm really pleased to be able to work with these people. They have been just absolutely incredible. We've been doing this now for about 5 years. We're in our 4th generation of the equipment, so it's not something that's new. It's been out there for quite some time, and we have about 130 of these out worldwide being used in chiropractic offices with some incredible results, absolutely incredible results. We also know that all of the use of the equipment meets the CCP guidelines for use in chiropractic practices with established evidence. So that's another good recommendation on it. I'm going to give you a very quick demo here. I'm going to turn this over to Dee Dee so she can get this running. And what we'll do here is we'll talk our way through just giving you an idea of what it's like to see somebody hooked up with this. So the respiration belt goes on, and if you're doing any heart rate variability equipment in your office and you don't have a respiration belt, you're only getting half of the picture. She's hooking up the hand temperatures and the skin conductance. The next she'll hook up the brainwave activity. She has to do a little cleaning, a little prep on top. And what we want to happen here is we want staff doing this, not the doctor. We want the doctor to learn how to do it, but it's more important that the doctor be adjusting people. This is part of the EEG hookup on the ears. Anytime the doctor's not adjusting people, it's wasting time. There's a device built right into it to be able to make sure the connections are all correct and working right. And then what we found out, we need to run people not through a static moment in time, but through a dynamic change of stress and recovery, So we do eyes open baseline, eyes closed baseline, a math test, that's cognitive, recovery time, distracting noises like a dentist drill, that's emotional, and recovery time. And then there's a physical exercise, a breathing exercise, and then recovery. So now we have a really good look at the dynamics of the nervous system under stress and recovery as compared to a couple of just baseline sitting there. And so we can really get a clear picture then of what's happening with this nervous system and whether it's functioning normally to begin with, or whether its response to stress is normal or its recovery is normal. And those are the kinds of screens you look at. You see all this activity live time as you're doing this, and there's numbers up here as well as graphs to be able to look at. And you can see the instrument down there is hooked up with a little blue light. That's the encoder, and it's hooked up to the computer, and you can see the person is hooked up. Now, the nice thing about it is all of those tests are driven by a voice-activated computer system. So all the person running this has to do is hook them up and then just press the button now and then on the computer, and it does all the talking for it. It also has a built-in biofeedback portion for retraining. Oh, this one here is for the kids. We can do this down in kids about 6 or 7 years old. They can't do the math problems, so they can do what they call the Stroop test, where they have to identify the color rather than the word. Now, this is part of the biofeedback, and this is the SEMG biofeedback we're looking at, so you can actually retrain people and reestablish that neuromuscular connection, and we're going to show you some incredible stuff that you're going to see with scoliosis retraining. Best management I've ever seen on a scoliosis patient. And so here's what the training's like. They get hooked up, and they can literally, as they tighten the muscle, the ball will move from one side to the other, and they can see what they're doing. And if they can't get a muscle working, they can work at it until all of a sudden it fires like this, and they can start to re-educate that neuromuscular connection. So this is another part of the retraining. We're going to do some temperature retraining, which is, again, part of the limbic system. And we're going to give the power back to these people to start getting their nervous systems working right. Now, the best thing to start this is always the chiropractic adjustment. It opens the possibility for the nervous system to develop a new pathway. And here's the retraining. As she warms her hands, she gets an instant reward, and the flowers start to change, and the sound goes up. So you can see that we see the temperature, we can hear it, we can see it all at the same time on various levels of rewards for this. This is a part of the breathing exercise for the heart rate variability. And you hook up with blood volume on the hand and the respiration belt. And what this does is it's got a beautiful little, like, follow the bouncing ball for them to be able to breathe in and breathe out on a time basis. And you can actually alter that little bar you see up at the top. You see the bouncing ball. And here we see the heart rate is the red and the respiratory rate is the blue. And you want to get them both working together. And when you do that, the number gets better. And this is a different screen. And the little guy would stand up. And you can set thresholds for this for levels of difficulty. So it's important that people get responses. So there's two parts to this. There's part of this that provides an analysis of the central nervous system and its function. And then there's another part that allows for the retraining in your office that allows for you to have a a direct application in your office for chiropractic adjustments, dealing with the nervous system and retraining, rather than dealing with, you can switch that back, Dee Dee? Rather than just selling pillows or something along the line that doesn't really link up directly with what we're talking about in chiropractic, being the nervous system. So that's the possibility of this. Now, the nice thing about the biofeedback portion of it, it's also run by the staff, and they can be running that particular application when the doctor's not even in the office. So all of a sudden, that $200,000 office is generating some income when the doctor's not there. About time. So that's a good way to do this. So what we're looking at here, the three models, we're looking at normal resting, we're looking at increased stress, and then we're looking at the ability to recover from the stress. And what we want to look at is what's going on in the cortex, what's the activity of the cortex, is it normal cortical activity or is it unbalanced already, and then what's the message the cortex is sending down to the limbic system that controls the autonomics.